1. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to part 2. Finishing up Clash at the Castle. We got our main event. World Heavyweight Champion Damian Priest defending against home country hero Drew McIntyre for the second Clash. Wait, this is the second Clash at the Castle, right? There wasn't one last year, right? They did one in 2022. Yeah, they did one in 2022. Wait, what? Yeah, it was 2022. And then now we're coming back for a second one. The first one was in Wales, I believe. So Drew wasn't necessarily the home country hero there, but they were like, it's close enough that we can bill him as like the hometown hero. And same thing here, where it's like, he's from Scotland. He's only like, I think they said it was like a couple hours away from his actual hometown. So he's technically the hometown hero here. You can tell by just how much the people love him. Will this finally be the time that he gets his win in front of not only a crowd, but a hometown crowd? I mean, he technically got his win at WrestleMania, but then it was spoiled, you know? So it's been like 3 years, basically, that people have not only been waiting for another Drew McIntyre title reign, but for him to just get a win in front of a crowd, especially as the babyface, as the beloved babyface, since it was robbed of him from 2020.
Yep. And, I think in the background of this match, Damian Priest has had a real Cody Bailey sort of reign as World Heavyweight Champion. He beat Jey Uso in a match that everyone forgot. He just seems to be the third wheel of his own story. Because in the back of all of our minds, we're also noticing on Instagram that one chick magnet, Punk, is also in Scotland. Yeah, the moment I saw that, I literally told my dad before the show starts, Punk is coming out and interrupting this match one way or another. Or at least, the part of me that was holding out hope, he'll show up in the post-match and set something up for SummerSlam, Which would give Drew a chance to defend at Money in the Bank, presuming that he would drop the title at SummerSlam, because we know how Mr. CM Punk is with titles since his return. Oh my.
But
I think he's still defeated AEW champion.
Yeah, he's still going on a year as the real world champion. But what were your thoughts about the actual match, sir?
This match goes off the rails pretty soon into it, right? I can't think of very much that happens until the moment where Drew's outside. Damian's going to do a spot we've all seen him do. He's going to step on the second rope and do a front flip outside onto a waiting Drew McIntyre. What happens, Jack?
Well, as we thoroughly discussed in part 1, there was a lot of mishaps with the ropes. And I think I forgot to bring it up in the other 2 matches, but someone pointed out that there was at least one mishap in every single match this night. The only one that was like kind of a stretch was a spot that happened in the Bailey Piper one that like people were like, that's kind of a stretch, but you could also maybe put it up to the ropes. But
yeah, and I was telling you and your dad that before the whole show started, I looked at that ring and the corner posts were bowed towards the ring in a way that I haven't seen it since my old action figure wrestling ring. Just those ring ropes were so taut. I mean, were they loose? Were they taut? I don't know, but it looked so weird and unnatural.
Yeah, and I pointed out to my dad and Mr. Solis as well, is that from the very first match, you saw the referee tell AJ, and AJ goes and checks him before the match. And my thing is, WWE, I can't recall, I don't think they did it this night, but we're so used to a lot of these times on their PLEs, where they have like just these long ad breaks, for like no reason, like we get like 20-minute ad breaks for whatever reason until we get to like, especially a lot of times the main event. This would have been the one time where you would welcome it after seeing what happened in the previous 4 matches, but no changes were made, and it results in probably the worst rope mishap from the night. As Mr. Sully said, Damian Priest goes to do a move that he's probably done 100 times, with no issues.
With no issue?
This time, not only does he kind of slip up, but he slips, lands almost head, neck first on that ring apron, and then even worse, his foot gets caught in the rope So he's just stuck there kind of hanging upside down. And the moment it happened and we saw it, I literally told Ricardo, who was watching along with me, I was like, torn ACL, MCL, concussion. And Ricky was like naming everything. Is like torn PCL, torn MCL, meniscus, ACL, dislocated ankle, whatever you want to say. But it looked horrible.
Yeah, he's hanging by his ankle for so long. Drew took the bump, got up, started kicking him, and you knew he's improvising because Damien ain't selling nothing. He doesn't see. He's just worried about, now I'm hanging upside down by my foot. Drew, an absolute legend, runs into the ring, tries to help him out, and goes, like loud enough for everyone to hear, well, I can't win the title with you hanging here, right? And it was so good. It's the explanation of, why he'd ever let him out or why he'd help him.
Yeah. True professional right there, Drew McIntyre.
But Damien is hobbling for the rest of the match. And it's not like I'm selling hobble. It's not a Maxine Dupree hobble. This is like how much longer do we got in this main event match?
Yeah. Everyone was expecting some type of audible to be called, the match to be cut short.
Jack, I think, I don't know if this was an audible. Like, it's a good spot. Like, they could have always been, they've always were planning to do. But when Drew goes to the corner and Damien hits the Razor's Edge from the corner, in my mind, I'm like, I wonder if they set it up like this because Damien can't pick him up.
Oh,
he's like, it's so good, like, to go to like finesse it like this, right? And Damien, like an absolute champ, he's only come in second to Maxine Dupree's vicious call to Otis on one leg. He hits that Razor's Edge Jack on one foot. He's got one foot in the air because he can't put no pressure on it, and on a single foot, he chucks Drew across the ring.
Yeah, that was crazy. And then it's kind of tough to like remember because everything, despite it going the length it did, like everything kind of blurs after that spot because you're just worried about Priest the entire time. We saw the Claymore kick.
And interestingly, right, we talked about, yes, sir, we talked about a few matches where I can't remember a spot to save my life, but this match, there's a Claymore through the barricade.
Yeah.
Yeah, we certainly got a Future Shock DDT. I always think of Punk when we hit that, right?
Yeah. There was he was gonna hit a second Claymore kick, but it counters into the South of Heaven chokeslam.
1 foot on 1 foot, Jack. He hits it and it looks so good.
Yeah. What's it called? I think there was like another Claymore kick that Priest kicks out of, until finally
there was. Oh, how about the 3-2-1? But Damien rolls out.
Yeah. And then
that's smart.
Finally, we get to the finish where the referee gets taken down through a collision, and Drew McIntyre.
You know what they do, Jack, that I love? The referee, he jumps out of the ring to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Like, there's nowhere for him to escape. He's going to get knocked out, except he jumps out. So now he's on the ring apron. And again, I'm not sure if that was always supposed to be, because that jump out, it seems so, like, off the cuff. I'm like, oh, that was smart. I mean, I think I've seen referees, too, like, roll out, right? But now he's on the ring apron, and he gets knocked into the barricade.
Yeah. So he's down. Drew McIntyre hits a Claymore kick and just gets his arm over Damian Priest. And we're waiting for the ref to come back. We're waiting and waiting. Finally, we get this, unique pan-out shot where you see the referee come running down. And it's something I keep forgetting to mention, but, ever since Kevin Dunn's been gone, WWE has had real great camera work. And this is one of them because they don't want you to see who this referee is. Only the main crowd is going to know. So they pan out to show you the entranceway and everything. So you see him come running out. And then, as you told my dad, another perfect camera shot where they have the camera behind the referee so that you don't see enough of him to realize who it is. The ref goes 1, 2, and stops counting. And that's when the camera pans out even more. And who is it, sir?
It's old Phillip Brooks. Oh my, standing there in the troll pose, like Punk. Like Drew McIntyre's shirt next to that gravestone.
Yeah, CM Punk is there with the referee shirt. McIntyre obviously
Jack,
goes. What happened?
Did you know who it was before the face reveal?
Yup.
Yeah.
I knew right away.
Yeah. I appreciate the camera shot as well. I appreciate the long black sleeves to cover his tattoos. But it ain't that though. That slick hair ain't anybody else.
Yeah, McIntyre tries to go at Punk. Punk kicks him in the groin, leaves, and Damian Priest takes advantage of a chokeslam to get the win. Drew does not win in front of his home nation. Damian Priest retains after an Iron Man performance after that injury, or quote-unquote injury, because he shows up on Raw fine, But after all that, you're just, glad to see the guy was able to push through it all.
Jack, what was your thoughts on the crowd's reaction?
I don't blame him,
How would you describe the crowd's reaction?
Very mad.
Really?
Well, at least I saw from after the show, they were very mad.
After all day, every day, I was surprised by how quiet the crowd was. I think they were absolutely stunned. Like they weren't raving mad. They weren't, in a chorus in a wild chorus chanting, anything to Punk. They weren't saying anything like we've heard crowds say. I was very surprised by that. And I think that's the case for two reasons. Either this thing just literally shell-shocked a whole arena, a whole country. You know what I mean? Like, I think I was like your dad. Just, wow, I can't believe they did it. But also, I think, Jack, the crowd is confused on how to feel because who's the baby face here?
Yeah.
Punk did a very heelish thing. I don't think he's being posed as the heel.
I mean, that's classic Punk, though, Be the bad guy, but act like he's the good guy and
no
everything.
one proved anything, Jack.
Yeah,
there's no trash. There's no... We could have done that, right?
Yeah.
And I definitely saw and heard it, too. Like, all the stuff afterwards. But I was really surprised that the crowd wasn't, like, in unity chanting at France volume levels at 100 decibels, anything.
Yeah. But I agree with you on that. I think it was just pure shock because I think everyone was thinking, after Clash at the Castle 2022, how do you not, right the wrong and give Drew the title win,
Like, Jack, you know what I was thinking right after the show ended? Like, why did we go all the way to Glasgow, Scotland? Why couldn't we do exactly this story, tell this story, and have this finish in Wichita, Kansas?
Yeah.
Why did we have an entire company of people travel across the Atlantic Ocean to do this?
Yeah.
Again.
Again is the biggest issue for me. It's like, it's again that he doesn't get it in his home, country. It's like, well, this time in his home country. It's like, I mean, hey, I appreciate the story, but at the same time, I'm just like, man, I can't believe they did that, like that's the direction they go,
Yeah.
And that's the end of the night, kind of disappointing to a lot. And I know a lot of listeners, after hearing the end of part one, they're probably like, they're kind of disappointed too, because they're like, where's all the salt? You see, we were promised high levels of salt from me, where's it at? Well,
like Street Profits, we want the salt.
Well, I'll just say this about Senor Punk. He flew all the way to Glasgow, Scotland, not because of hatred for Drew. He's not a hater. He's jealous. He's envious that Drew can return to his home country and get such an ovation, get such support. Meanwhile, his own hometown of Chicago is gladly cheering for a certain scapegoat as if they aren't his hometown that is supposed to back him up. You got his own hometown gladly cheering his biggest op, but Drew is welcomed in his home country. So he's jealous, he's envious. That's why he had to buy a ticket and fly all the way out to Scotland to cause Drew, because he's very jealous of the true professional that Drew McIntyre is.
Goodness gracious.
I thought of that like, I think it was like yesterday or the day before. I thought of that as soon as I thought. I was like, you know what? Punk's just jealous. You know, he's just jealous. He's not warmly welcomed, or not that he's not warmly welcomed, but that his hometown is so willing to cheer for his biggest op, and yet,
yeah. That's so good, Jack. Did you hear him in the press conference? I only saw one clip. This guy goes, "So, how about you and Drew in a Hell in a Cell?" And he goes,
"I'm not doing none of that."
No, he goes, "You got to take that fantasy booking stuff somewhere else." Oh, that was so good.
Yeah, so I heard him saying, like, "I'm not doing no ladder match." He's like, "I'm not doing no ladder match. No, I ain't doing none of that." And Ricky sent it to me, and I was like, he doesn't want to do any of those because he knows he'll get injured 5 minutes in.
Oh, there's another dose.
He'll get injured 5 minutes in, and you know, he'll get injured 5 minutes in. And as much as a professional as Drew McIntyre is, I don't think even he's strong enough to carry an injured Punk through a match.
Oh my! Hey Jack, there's a lot of people who wondered if he'd last 6 months in his return. It's been 6 months, Jack, and it's only by Drew's hands that he's been able to last this long. Drew quit on Monday.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's done with the scope.
He's done with all of this. He's done. I saw people saying he's going to show up in TNA. Yeah. Wouldn't it be funny if Punk followed him there?
That'd be nice.
Could you imagine if Punk follows him there? And
that would,
Oh, man.
Yeah, he would never wanted to step foot in TNA except for this reason. For his Kendrick Lamar. I saw somebody say he learned how to hate from Kendrick Lamar and Bret Hart. And I go, those are two behemoths in the hate world.
Yeah, no lie. Oh, man. But moving forward, because, you know, there's a ton of time left on this episode, as the listeners obviously noticed. And they're probably like, well, hey, Jack. Clash at the Castle is done. You know, the listeners.
Before we move on, I wonder, Clash, you know, post-WrestleMania, you have Clash, you have King and Queen of the Ring, and you have Backlash. Which do you think was the better show?
I think, as of right now, I have King of the Ring as highly rated over all the others. I think I even have it, like, in contention for, like, Show of the Year, because I really enjoyed a lot of the matches on that. Because I agree. You had Nia and Valkyria. You had Gunther and Randy, which, you know, I still need to go back and rewatch, but it was good. You had the triple threat for the IC title. You had Cody and Logan, which was all right. And then there was one more match on there. I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it was... Liv and Becky.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that show. So I think that's the best post-Mania show so far.
I agree.
Yeah. Real good stuff. But, as I mentioned... You know, the listeners are like, "Hey, Clash of the Castle's over, so what are you guys still doing here?" Well, you just heard me mention Drew McIntyre going to TNA, and they're probably like, "Well, if you remember the last time we were covering WWE, what is it? All this talk about other promotions working with WWE?" Well, as I mentioned at the end of part 1, there was a lot to talk about that has happened in the time span since WWE. I mean. So far this year, they've been really more open to working with a lot of different companies. Was it last year that we saw... Wait, was it last year or this year that we saw Nakamura work for Noah?
That was last year.
So we saw that last year.
It was in my 2023 top 10, as a matter of fact.
This year, we saw them work with GCW. And then most recently, during this time span between King and Queen of the Ring and Clash at the Castle, we saw Jordynne Grace show up in NXT to challenge Roxanne Perez. And then from there, they sent Tatum Paxley over to TNA to challenge Jordynne Grace as that sort of like swap. And so we've kind of seen this sort of like working... I wouldn't call it a working relationship just yet, but we've seen TNA show up. I mean, we even saw them show up at the Rumble, you know. Jordynne Grace showed up at the Rumble. So we've been seeing them work with them. And then what sparked this conversation as well was I showed Mr. Solis, right after Clash at the Castle finished up, it was announced that AJ Styles would be heading over to Japan, to Noah, to face off against Marufuji.
Oh my goodness. What a prospect.
And the main thing that I have to mention from my side of things, Sir, I want you to tell every wrestling promotion that after July to just wrap things up because there's no point in competing for match of the year, at least for me. Because WWE is sending Io Sky out to Marigold to challenge Utami Hayashishita in what has been Utami's dream match. That was the whole reason she joined Stardom, was she wanted to face off against Io. Io left for WWE soon after. It's been her dream match. She's finally going to get it because WWE is sending Io Sky to work. And, similar to my dad's feelings with the whole Jordynne Grace Roxanne Perez match, in the back of my mind, I have no doubt that Io's probably winning because we know how WWE works with a lot of these relationships. If their person's not going over, they ain't sending them out. But that still isn't going to stop me from enjoying that match as much as it might be predictable. But I bring all this up to say what a crazy 2024 we found ourselves in the wrestling world, where WWE is working with many different promotions like this.
I'm really excited, Jack, that you brought up the Io Sky announcement for Marigold. I don't know the wrestler she's fighting. You do. But I really enjoyed her reaction to the video. I think, it's exciting to hear, how much she wanted this match, right? I'm going to watch. I'm going to watch a Marigold show, Joe. Jack, I'm going to watch it for that match and the Julia match, because Julia's supposedly going to be okay by then. Hey, is that technically a WWE match?
It could.
And it's so wild, Jack. The Bloodsport show that Shayna appeared on, Charlie Dempsey also appeared on, and it's just the craziest thing that because they're coming from New York, I don't know. It don't matter if you're Charlie Dempsey or Shinsuke or AJ Styles. You're just the biggest deal possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, I don't blame people for being worried. Like I mentioned, we know how WWE works. We've seen how they work in the past. So I don't fault people for the skepticism, but still, it's you have to be shocked because it's we haven't seen this in years, it's been a while since we've seen such working together like this, the last time I can remember one, obviously other than the Nakamura stuff before that, the last time I can remember is when they sent Christian out to TNA because they wanted Flair for the Hall of Fame. That's the last time I can remember that happening because, people might mention the Evolve stuff, but they had bought out Evolve, I'm pretty sure, by that point, it's and plus, it's not to speak on Evolve, that's where a lot of, the current wrestlers came from, but it also isn't as big as some of these other companies, it's not on the level of TNA, Noah, that type of thing where it's you're sending some pretty big names out to fight pretty big names.
Why did WWE wrestlers make videos and send them to AEW? Do you remember? What were they talking about?
I know the AEW wrestlers sent videos out for John Cena's, I think it was 20th anniversary, I think it was.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
They had Jericho, John. Big Show, Danielson, I think what it was.
But I'm trying to remember a time when somebody asked Kevin Owens why he wasn't a part of something, why he didn't send something, and he goes, they didn't ask. I don't know.
They said the same thing for Sting, was that apparently they didn't ask.
Right. And so, this is a really exciting time. It's funny that WWE is going to flex its muscles and sort of work through different forbidden doors, right? This is counter-programming, Jack. They're going to pretend like they're not in direct competition, but of course they are. They're not going to go to New Japan. They're going to go to Noah.
Yeah.
But, no, I'm super excited, Jack. And how WWE's tagline is then, now, forever together?
Yeah.
When it comes to these inter-promotional workings and dealings, I'd love for, we all know it. WWE's tagline is, that doesn't work for me, brother.
Yeah. So, that's my only thing when it comes to some of these is that, I'm not, I said with the Io ones, I'm not going to get my hopes up that Utami's going to beat her, but I'm still going to be excited for the match, And I've seen some people complain, that, again, we know how WWE rolls. We'll get your biggest stars, and then we'll just send you, a complimentary sort of like thing, like like the whole, oh, give us your women's world champion in Jordan Grace and we'll send over Tatum Paxley.
Tatum Paxley. I just because you brought her up, I heard Dave Meltzer sort of say that he's sick of the spooky gimmicks, and I think the guy he eats podcast with tried to explain to him that Tatum Paxley's not spooky, and I go, yeah, no, he doesn't get it. It's just an aesthetic. You don't have to be spooky to wear black and eyeliner, and if somebody who doesn't watch regular NXT, I go, yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah,
they're having a battle royale tonight. I'm excited to watch it tomorrow. I'm going to catch my first weekly NXT episode in a while because there's this big battle royale, and they say that more than a few TNA names might appear on NXT.
Yeah.
And I know you didn't watch Battleground, sir, but Ethan Page's efforts against Trick Williams, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the promo package and the match. I would have put it on. I would have put the belt on him. I would have been like, you know what? Let's go. What's the worst that can happen, Jack? They got gun shy, though, because it is still WWE.
Yeah.
And I saw this post that said, he's literally wearing the same thing. He's saying the same thing. He's the same guy as he was in AEW, but look at how much of a bigger deal he looks here.
Yeah, definitely a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of interesting matches that could happen as a result. But again, you just got to remain optimistic, but at the same time realistic in that, like, who knows, because it always comes down to two sides agreeing, and it's like you could get some good stuff out, but again, it always comes down to the business and the wrestlers themselves wanting to work together. And as you mentioned, it also comes down to who wants to lay down on that mat for 3.
Brother, did you see the G1 announcement?
That's where I was going to go to next because of another name that was announced for that one. That, it's a New Japan tournament, so you shouldn't expect too many outside names, but there is one outside name in that tournament that is very interesting.
Are you referring to one Konosuke Takeshita?
Yes, sir, and I'm kind of upset at the block that they put him in.
He's in a block with Yoda Tsuji, let's see, David Finley, Henare, Jeff Cobb. Why?
So he's in a block with Tsuji, Goto, Cobb, a couple of those guys. So I'm excited for that. But then I look at A block and I'm like, I understand why they wouldn't put him in A block because that would just put all the star power in one. And again, who's going to get their shoulders pinned to the mat for 3 if you stick all of them in that one side? But I'm just like, you couldn't maybe move Shingo into B block so we could see him and Shingo face off, Sonata face off against him in B block. They're not doing any of this at Forbidden Door, so give it to us here.
You're right. I see. I got you. So a strategic block placement would have unlocked all of the dream matches that we're being deprived of.
Yeah, because I said,
as much as I wanted to see Konosuke versus El Phantasmo, Ren Narita, Yuya Uemura. No, I hear you.
Yeah. Oh man, a lot of these companies and their booking decisions confuse me because again, it comes down to these different companies working together because, you're sending Takeshita out there. It makes sense putting him in that B block because you can have him lose to certain names, but also beat certain names so it isn't too much, but it's like you couldn't slide us a Shingo maybe, a Sonata maybe, or the most I would want is Shingo because how much I love Shingo. I would have wanted to see that. But yeah.
I haven't finished Soul from Sunday, but it's him versus Henare in a rematch from May. They went to a no contest.
Yeah, but interested to see Takeshita in there. People have been clamoring for AEW guys to show up in Japan's tournaments, especially because it's like, you have Moxley with the title, you have a couple guys showing up there, but it's like you would want them to see. But again, comes down to commitment, because you show up for a tournament, you're there for the next couple of months that tournament takes place, you know?
Yeah, did you hear about Mustafa? Did you hear about Mustafa Ali and the Best of the Super Junior?
No.
Yeah, I just heard, I don't know how true it is, right? But, you know, Mustafa Ali, very hot on the indie scenes right now, gone undefeated. It's a big reason why he didn't participate in the Best of the Super Juniors. You know he got an invite, but, like, I'm sort of doing this thing, brother.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? More power to him. If, you know, he's like, I'm doing a thing. This is going to ruin my thing. I'm going to keep doing my thing.
Yeah. And you know who else is doing their own thing? Tony Khan, because as much as he likes to say he books for the sickos, he's not booking for the true sickos, in my opinion.
I'm just saying. Hey, you know what New Japan started doing on commentary? They're calling Great Khan the greatest Khan in professional wrestling.
Oh, man.
Multiple times on Sunday.
See, the reason I say that, for the listeners who might get salty, you know, it's not me hating on AEW. I love watching AEW's product. But to me, it's like, you can't claim to be booking for the sickos when you don't understand the true definition of the sickos. Because if you've listened to this podcast for quite some time, you know Mr. Solis and I come up with some truly sicko matchups, for the sense of that we're only booking for ourselves and no one else. We want to see the matches we want to see, and don't care what anyone else wants to see. We don't care if it's going to sell out the arena or the arena that they're in, whatever. We want what we want. And like I've been saying, if you want to book for the sickos, it isn't Swerve versus Ospreay at Forbidden Door. You give me Swerve versus Desperado for that world title. I don't care if New Japan doesn't view Desperado as a world champion guy. I don't care if you don't think that that's going to sell enough tickets. Go watch their interactions in that 2022 Forbidden Tag match with Keith Lee and I always forget the other guy's name. He's the guy with the whiskey.
Kanemaru.
Yeah, there we go, Kanemaru. You go watch that match, and you tell me you don't want to see Desperado and Swerve face off one-on-one.
Goodness gracious, Jack. With the list in front of you, you know, we don't know who's going to fill the empty slots in both blocks, and that's a very exciting way of, you know, hyping up the whole thing, right? Like making things a little more unpredictable. It's very convoluted, but you know, they just got they have one of those good problems to have. They just have so many names and so many people. But of the names that you see there, Jack, who do you think walks away G1 Climax winner for 2024? Who challenges for the heavyweight championship at Wrestle Kingdom in January?
This is tough, because I'm going to think and assume that maybe Moxley... I don't think Moxley's holding it till then. Like, that would be a pretty crazy reign for him to hold it till then.
Yeah.
I know he's supposed to face Naito soon, like in a rematch. I don't know if Naito wins it back then, though.
Forbidden Door.
Yeah, they're facing that Forbidden. I don't know. Does he win it back there? Maybe he does, because you know how so many times people complain that New Japan gets the short end of the stick at Forbidden Door? Maybe having him beat Moxley there could be a big win.
Yeah.
Man, who wins? I personally think the winner is obviously going to be coming out of A block, because I can't see anyone out of B block really getting it. I think Tsuji is still like too raw in a sense, you know, like I know a couple of people have said that like he's still trying to work his way to that like main event type match that New Japan wants a lot of their guys to have.
Yeah, and he won the New Japan Cup. You know what I mean? So like he's sort of been there and done that. Yeah, I hope it's not him.
Is this the year they finally crown Zack Sabre Jr.?
Ooh.
I could see that or Umino happening. One of the two has to sort of cement that whole, like, this is a new era, new generation going forward, you know? Either give it to, like, one of the younger guys like Umino, or you give it to Zack Sabre Jr. and he cements himself as, like, the true gaijin in New Japan, because at least he said it himself. He doesn't want to leave New Japan. So you finally award him after all these years of him being there with you.
I've only heard of Jake Lee, but I know he's a big deal from Noah. That would be interesting. He just fought Naito, though, so I don't know if he set up anything special with him. Evil? I'm a big Evil guy. Like, I love Evil.
I'll take a repeat of 2021 if we're doing that. Give me Shingo with the title again.
Shingo? Love that. Sonata? I haven't given up on Sonata, even though he had a real Bailey run of things. It's funny how universal things are, right? Even though he's completely in Japanese, you know what I mean? He combed his hair, he dyed it black, and we're like, wow, all the things I liked for you, even traversing the Japanese language. You just went and stripped it all away, didn't you?
Don't forget shaving the beard.
Yeah. Looking like a normal person.
Oh man, you know what's that trend going around where people are talking about, gaining or losing aura points? It's like, imagine applying that to wrestling. How many people we can say lost aura through like a gimmick change?
Oh, 1,000%. We can come up with a whole roster of people
just from 2024 alone. Who's lost aura?
And people would say that The Undertaker in 2001 went through that when he cut his hair. I beg to differ, or only intensified.
Man. But I think so far that is all I can think of going on in the rest of the wrestling world. Obviously, there's a ton more going on. Like you said, we got Forbidden Door coming up. Still interested to see how that card's shaping up because, I haven't been keeping up too closely with AEW, but it's like, I haven't heard too much, especially like the whole like setting up matches, like from New Japan side.
Right.
Someone from Mina from Stardom is gonna have a match with Tony Storm. Interested to see how that goes. Interested to see if anyone else from like Stardom or CMLL show up.
So you're watching Forbidden Door?
Maybe. I don't know just yet,
That's I'm also on the fence. I'm also maybe. The last few years, it's been a clinch, but this year,
yeah, I don't know. Marco's trying to get me to get it so that him and a couple of my cousins could watch it because he's going out to Colorado to visit one of my cousins, and then another cousin from Nebraska is going to visit as well. So he wants me to get it so that they can watch over there, but I'm just like, I don't know. It's not seeming too hot for me this year, especially because people talk about CMLL being involved, but it's like, I remember I told you where it's like, I think it's under a thing where it's like they can't appear on the same show that a AAA guy shows up. We saw Ray Phoenix win, and we were like, oh, I guess he's advancing in that TNT tournament. Come to find out, that was just a normal main event that we saw.
It was the Takeshita. It was a Takeshita match that was the tournament qualifier.
Yeah.
Or the ladder match qualifier.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know, you still have a lot of that going on, but it's I don't know, I'm, like you said, Forbidden Door, what is usually priority viewing is I'm waiting, it's more than likely, the one thing I'll give AEW props to is that they always find a way to get you, last second where you're just it's gonna be a good card, let me just get it, they'll announce the full card within a week of the show about to happen, and then you'll be like, all right, you got me, I'm in.
Yeah. Like that Morty meme. You son of a diddly, I'm in.
Yeah, because I don't know, let me look up what even is the current card right now. Forbidden Door 2024 card. What has been announced so far? We have
2 women's matches,
the IWGP World Title, the AEW World Title, and Orange Cassidy versus Zack Sabre Jr. I don't know what else they could have announced. They have the TNT ladder match, obviously, but it's I don't know. What are you gonna do with the trios titles? What are you gonna do with the international title? The international title's in the main event. What are you gonna do with the continental title? I would do Okada versus I don't know, Tanahashi maybe. Like, someone from New Japan has to be mad that Okada left.
Interesting grudge to want to hold, right?
Yeah, like something. I don't know. What are you going to do with the tag titles? I don't know. There's a lot that I'm interested to see happens. And
An LIJ multi-man, because why not?
yeah, give me Daniel Bryan versus Shingo Takagi in a Year of the Dragon match.
Oh my.
Man,
No,
between that
it'll
and
be more like
I was gonna say between that and the Io Sky match, I might struggle to give you what my match of the year might be if that happens. But no, you're right. In reality, it'll be the LIJ versus.
It'll be Blackpool Combat Club versus LIJ, and you'll get your Dragon versus Dragon for 2 minutes of a 12-minute affair.
Yeah, or we're gonna get let me think. We're gonna get LIJ versus let's see. Who is someone they would pair LIJ up with that would just make no sense?
Shane Taylor Promotions.
Man.
Oh, the Kingdom.
The King. Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's what AEW do. That's what booking for the sickos is we'll give you them versus the Kingdom.
Yeah, Shingo throwing Matt Taven and Mike Bennett around.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'll be welcome to be proven wrong as many times we are on this podcast. I mean, we can't tell you how many times our opinions have either aged terribly or our predictions have aged terribly.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though. You know, Triple H ain't out there making the claims that Tony Khan is making. Triple H is like, hey, I'm going to tell you what you like. You understand? Right? And I'm like, yes, sir. You know, Tony Khan's like, I know the people. You're like, no, you don't.
He's like a politician, just lying to your face.
He really is. Or Triple H is like a better politician in the sense that he's just more effective at what he's attempting to do.
Or that, like, you know, he's the opposite of a politician. He's telling you straight to your face what he's going to do and you're going to like it. Well, he's that type of politician. He ain't even trying to hide it. He's just like, you know, I'm going to do this and you're going to like it whether you're not.
You know, I know it's funny too because Tony Khan, when he slips, we'll remember forever. Triple H has a whole career of slipping and we forget. We're not thinking about Booker T, WrestleMania 20, what?
21?
25?
20, no, not 25. 25 he was facing Randy. Was it? No, 22 he was facing Cena. Was it 20? No, 21 Hollywood. It was 19.
Yeah, so like Triple H, you know, we've seen him do things to people and we're like, cool with it now. Booking related things. Jericho's entire 2002.
Oh, man. Oh, that's who LIJ is going to face off against, the Learning Tree.
Shudder.
Oh, man. If that happens, I'm not buying that show for that purpose. If you put LIJ, specifically Shingo, in a match with Jericho or any of the Learning Tree, I'm not watching. I'm boycotting.
You gotta have a EO versus Marigold Gal level of hype and enthusiasm for me to buy this thing.
Yeah, and like I said, welcome to be proven wrong. Many times,
Please.
always am.
I want to buy this. Take my money. Give me a reason to. Give me a Gabe Kidd versus Kaito Kiyomiya.
Give me something. But with that all being said, still look forward to the wrestling year as it goes on. Hoping to catch up with more stuff than previously have. And
yes, sir.
We'll look forward to the next time, whether that be Forbidden Door or Money in the Bank. You know, depends on if Forbidden Door hypes us up enough to cover it. But whenever it may be that we'll see you next, we will see you then. But until then, I've been Jack, joined by my guest,
Mr. Solis.
Thank you for joining us for these 2 parts, and we'll catch you on the next one.